No, there isn't. So it backs up to the class level. It says, is there a method called addChild anywhere inside of the class here? Well, there isn't, because there's only project document and test display. What happens next? Well, it begins backing up the inheritance chain. So let's bring our chart back here again. So our document class is down here. Inside of the method, it came across, inside of the function test display, it came across a method called addChild. It didn't find it in this class at all. So it looks at the fact that project document extends movie clip. It goes up the scope chain and starts looking for addChild. Well, you know what? addChild isn't in movie clip. It keeps going up. Is it in Sprite? It's not actually in Sprite. Where it actually is defined is in the display object container, right? Because this is the first point at which you could physically add children into another display object. But for our purposes, we'll never see that. All we really need to know is that our document class has inherited all of those abilities that are over top of it in the scope chain. So this should kind of show you how powerful inheritance can be. Okay, that's a little side note. So now let's jump back into our example here. And suffice it to say that test display gets called, our box is created, and it is added to the stage. At this point, we could begin to mess with some of the properties of the box, because the box is a movie clip. So now our code hinting starts becoming very useful. So if we type my box and put a dot after it, we get a list of all of the methods and properties that are available to my box because of it inheriting from movie clips. And you can see that you could actually do another addChild. You could put another display object inside of the box movie clip. For the moment, let's use some of the most simple properties. For instance, all movie clips have an X and Y property that define where they should sit on the stage. X refers to movement in this direction, Y refers to movement in the vertical direction. So let's move it over to the right a little bit. We could say mybox.x equals, and we give it a number value. So let's move it over like 100. That 100 refers to pixels. You know what, while we're at it, let's move it down a little bit. There we go. If we did this right, our box should be moved to the right and down when we compile. And there it is. So you see that's actually working. There's other properties that we can affect as well. Let's change the alpha of it a little bit. Alpha refers to the level of transparency that the asset should have. And this is always a number between 0 and 1, 1 being 100% and 0 being obviously 0%. That's a little change from AS2. You used to use a number between 1 and 100. Now you don't have to anymore. And as a result, it actually compiles or runs a little bit faster. There we go. See how it's a little bit more pale looking? So that's pretty cool. Now I'm going to show you a little trick that I don't see used a whole lot in, and you know, this holds to a principle that I'm a firm believer in. Less keystrokes equals less problems. The less that you're typing, I mean, think of it this way. Every time you type a keystroke, it increases the chances that you make a typo, right? And typos are a pain when you are trying to program in object-oriented code. So there's a little trick you can use, a method called with. And let me just, it's easier to type it and show you than it is to explain it. I'm going to type with my box. I'm going to put an opening brace, and it's going to automatically put a closing curly brace. Now after this, you can just start changing however many properties you want. See that? We don't have to keep typing my box dot, my box dot, my box dot. No, we can do it all in one place. And then we can actually delete all of this. And it just saves you a little bit of typing. It's a good way, you know, when you want to set a whole bunch of properties on one movie clip or other object, that you can do it and use less keystrokes. So let's see if that worked. There we go. Totally worked. So it's doing the same thing, but it, you know, it's simpler. It's also, I find, a little bit easier to look at. So that is the basics of your public function. I think in the next video we're going to examine functions just a little bit more, and we're going to get into an idea of separating your public API from your private API. If you don't know what that means yet, don't worry about that. We're going to explain it thoroughly. Okay, thanks guys. Hope this video is helpful for you.